I really want to know, what do we do about tattoos on Christians, especially when they lead the worship team. Anyway. So what I'm trying to figure out here is, well, what happened the other day? Let me tell you what happened a few days ago. And I had this conversation with my son because he just generically, well, not generically, just out of the blue started talking about some, Dad, I wanted to get a tattoo, something small, a Christian tattoo, something like a scripture or a cross or something like that on his back or his arm or something. I don't know. Some weird spot, that didn't make any sense, where it wouldn't necessarily be displayed per se, but just knowing that he had it. So anyway, I twisted my face and I'm looking at him all like, dude, what you want to do that for? So and trying not to go off, because he's already made me mad a couple of times anyway. So in my effort to try not to go off on him, I was like, all right, so why do you want a tattoo? And this is getting to the larger issue. And so I was telling him, like, why do you want a tattoo? And he's like, well, so-and-so at church, they have one, and blah, 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 and all this stuff, coming with, talking about why he wanted a tattoo, and he just think it's cool. And so after he goes through his spiel about why, what, when, where, and how, and who, so I was like, okay, let me just break this down to you. And he, of course, he wanted to bring up from the youth leader that the youth leader has one, and that the youth leader, that mentions it in the Bible, in the Old Testament, about markings on your body, but, we're not under the law, so necessarily it's not, a sin. So I paused on that for a minute before I, fix my mouth to say anything crazy or just get them all mixed up in anything. And so I did mention to him, well, yes, there are scriptures in the Bible with regards to markings on your body and so forth, as it relates to Old Testament law. And so I told him, I said, well, you know what? Here's the deal. This is my opinion on it. And I'm not trying to be legalistic about it, but here's the deal. I don't want you getting a tattoo. If you decide to get a tattoo, you're not going to be living in my house. You won't be living with me. You can go get one, but, that will be after you move out, because then you're a grown man. And what you do as a grown man is between you and God. I have given you everything that you need to spiritually discern what would be of God and what's not of God. And if you choose, what is not of God, and I'm not saying that getting a tattoo is not of God, but is it the best thing? And so that's what I'm trying to tell him. Is it the best thing? And also how it reflects a lot of worldly ways. And when you start with that one thing, it can open up the door for other things. And then before you know, you want another tattoo. And then you want another tattoo. And before you know, you have tattoos all across your back, your arm, your thighs, and the back of your neck. And so I'm like, you're looking like, what's his name? The basketball player who's all tatted now, LeBron James. And I'm like, really? Do you really need all those tats? And so, when I broke it down to him like that, it's like the world begins to creep into you, because really the only reason you want it is because you've been looking at people from the world, and then you've seen a couple of believers people who are believers who have one. And so now you feel like it's okay for you to have it. And again, I'm not saying that it's not okay, but is it the best thing? So after he pondered that and we talked about it for a second, I let it go. But again, I said to him, that's for you to decide to do after you leave my house. Well, as long as you're under my roof, no tattoos, bro. So anyway, moving forward, so the other day, and I say this politely, and I'm really not trying to be judgmental. I'm not trying to be overcritical or anything of that nature. I'm really trying to just keep this, asking the question and not trying to be legalistic, because it's really to some it's really no big deal. But there was a guy that has started following me, or they've been following me for a minute, and I was going through the list of people who follow me on Instagram and all that. And so when I saw who was following me, I was like, oh, okay, so dude is following me, and I don't know this dude, but I know of him. And he's a well, anyway, he sings. I'm just going to put it like that. And so this brother, a brother in the Lord, you know, he sings. And, you know, so I was, let me move this mirror because it's getting in my face. Okay. So when you know, typically I'll go through people's Instagram pages and just see what, you know, they're about and all that kind of stuff. But it's, you know, it's really no big deal. You know, I just, you know, check them out and see who they are and what they're about. I like that light that's coming back through from that mirror over there. Let me change this so it can come on over a little bit. Oh, that's what's up. Anyway, it's all about lighting. I said that before, y'all. So anyway, so the dude, so I looked at his Instagram page, and I noticed dude got all these tats and everything. I mean, just tatted up. And then there were a couple of pictures where he has his shirt off, tatted up, got this big fake picture of Jesus, you know, Michelangelo's interpretation of what Jesus would look like on his chest, and a big cross. I mean, just tats and tats and tats. I mean, looked like really a billboard for some tattoo company. And so I'm like, wow, really? You know, see, that stuff begins to scare me, because let me tell you something. I'm not going to say it's scary, but I'm going to say this. You know, as the studio that I used to work for, we did a photo shoot with one celebrity in a tattoo parlor. And it was sort of late at night when we got to the photo shoot, because it was a nighttime photo shoot. And we went inside the tattoo parlor. And the tattoo parlor, I'm telling you, I felt so many demonic spirits up in that place. It just felt dark in there. And it just felt like, wow, you know, there's something heavy up in this camp. And I'm not saying anybody up in there practiced dark arts or witchcraft or anything like that. All I'm saying is I felt a spirit of heaviness up in there. And so I tried to explain to my son that too, is that, you know, typically, you know, tattoos have always been associated with people who were, you know, the bad boys, the bikers, the motorcycle gangs, and all that kind of stuff. And so now you see so many believers and Christians and so forth getting all these tattoos and putting them everywhere, and, you know, making the remark that it doesn't matter. I'm like, you know what? It doesn't negate your salvation. No, it does not. Your salvation is not based on whether or not you got a tattoo. But at the same time, do we really need to be doing that? Do we really need to be painting up our bodies in that regard? That's my opinion. You know, then somebody might throw up and say, well, should women be wearing makeup and all of that, you know, and try to adorn yourself in modesty. So I'm like, I get it. I hear what you're saying. But when you start getting into the tattoos, and like, again, when I went into that tattoo parlor, it felt very dark. I mean, you could feel the darkness of the spirits that were in there. I was like, you know what? We got to hurry this photo shoot up and get this over and done with. But anyway, so, you know, just checking that dude out. My thing is, you know, should saints start getting tattoos? Is it okay? Is it something that we need to avoid? Do we need to be, you know, dancing? Just leave that alone altogether. Is it too worldly? Or is it really no big deal? You know, some people get tats when they were out there in the world, then they get saved and their body just full of tats. There's nothing you can do about that, but, you know, well, you can pay for an expensive removal, but that's going to hurt. But then you have people who are saved and believing, and they lead in choirs, and this dude, like I said, he's a worship leader. Let me be quiet about that. I'm not going to say where, because I don't want anybody trying to research who it is. But anyway, yeah. And dude got all these tats, and then got pictures of him without, you know, his shirt on and showing all his tats and stuff. I'm like, I can't do it. It's not for me. James is not going to do it. I'm trying not to, you know, judge anybody else. So if I'm in the wrong, or if I'm just being legalistic about the tats, because some of y'all may have tats, and I'm not saying again that you're going to hell because you have a tat. All I'm saying is that I don't want my son getting tats, because for some it can lead to this whole lifestyle of becoming more and more worldly. And sometimes all you gotta do is give the enemy a centimeter, and he's gonna push that wide open, because you can be on a direction, and if that direction is not straight, and for 20 years you're going slowly off that direction, you're off point. You missed your point. You missed where you're supposed to be. You know why? Because you veered. You slowly veered. You veered, but it was slow. And that's how Satan can get a lot of people. So anyway, this James, what do you think about tats? What should believers do? Should we leave it alone? Is it legalistic to tell people they cannot do it, or what? Or, you know, it's really no big deal because it's the flesh. You know, it's just the outside of your body, and it means nothing. You know, I used to have earrings, but I took them out I just stopped wearing them. You know, I mean, as I grew in the Lord, I just stopped wearing them. And I'm not saying everybody else has to do that, but all I know is that the Holy Spirit was telling me, you don't need to wear them, James. Anyway, this is James from the I'm Free Project. I'm signing out. Jesus Christ is Lord, and there's only one way to the Father, and it is by Him, Jesus Christ. Peace.